Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May the 12th, 2020. It is currently 10:08 a.m. Central Time, and I am back here at Victory Baptist Church. And this is going to be a very different kind of episode. I have an idea of what I want to accomplish. I'm afraid, though, that many people who hear this is going to completely misunderstand the point I'm trying to make. So, you know what? Here's the thing. If you don't try, you don't succeed, right? You have to try different things. You have to try to get your message across in different ways. And sometimes people get it, sometimes people don't. So there's a very good chance that people are going to misunderstand this or think that it's dumb, but that's okay. I'm going to try it anyway because I think it serves as a very good example of something I have been talking about. All right. So I hope you are ready. I hope you can pay close attention. This is an episode where, if possible, try to remove all distractions and really focus in. I will try not to waste too much of your time, but it's going to take a little bit of time to try to explain all of this, put it all together so that you understand, and then let you hear 2 audio clips, and then try to kind of explain how this relates to a subject that I have been talking about. So let me first do a reminder. I'm going to do a reminder, and then we will move forward and hopefully put this together. I hope you're ready. I'm going to trust that the audience of the Theology Central podcast is not the normal audience, that the people who listen to Theology Central podcast are, 98% smarter than the rest of the public, right? Because, you listen to the Theology Central podcast, right? So right there already tells me that you're smart. And if you listen to this, hopefully you're even smarter because of all the things we talk about. And, if you've paid any attention, there really isn't any subject that I will not talk about on the Theology Central podcast. I'm willing to talk about anything. So I think that's one thing that makes this podcast somewhat unique is that, hey, it doesn't matter what the subject is. We can talk about it. We can look at it. We can think about it. And the only difference is that we will often look at it from a theological perspective. So hopefully you appreciate that, and hopefully you're going to still appreciate this podcast when this is over. Are you ready? See, that's called a tease. I'm trying to tease you to stick around and listen to everything I have to say, and hopefully I have your attention. All right. Now, first, the reminder: if you've been paying attention on the Theology Central podcast, we've kind of embarked in a kind of a mini series looking at the church, looking at Christians, looking at Christianity and the church. Christianity and individual Christians' relationship to the culture. How should we relate to the culture? What should that be? And we've looked at some different theories that have been present within Christianity, within the church, throughout church history, about how Christians should engage the culture. There's a lot of different ideas there. And we've been looking at that. I'm not going to go and review everything. You can go back and listen to those episodes. In the middle of doing that, then we took a little detour and we looked at how Christians and Netflix. All right, we looked at that and we listened to almost an hour of a program on Christian radio where they were talking about Netflix, which kind of demonstrated how some Christians approach culture. All right, so we've been talking about Christians and culture a lot, right? Just kind of sometimes a subject kind of shows up, and then when I typically start talking about a subject, I never can really do it like in a 15, 20 minute one time and I'm done. Typically, when I start digging into a subject, I just keep going and going and going until finally I force myself to stop because I love to really dig in. I don't like a surface level look at anything. I like to really, really dig in. So we've really been trying to unpack this idea. Now, so far we've probably brought up more questions than I have presented answers, but the goal is to get you as a Christian to think about, wait, I'm a Christian. The Bible says a lot about my relationship to culture. It says I'm not to love the world, the things that are in the world. Okay. It tells me that, I'm just a pilgrim here. I'm a stranger here. All the different things. I'm not going to repeat everything the Bible has to say, but you're aware of that. And
You can take those scriptures, take 10 Christians, put them in a room and say, hey, okay, based off these scriptures, what should it look like when it comes to your life and my life as it relates to the culture? And you're going to get probably 30 different answers. And sometimes those answers are very self-contradictory and they don't make a lot of sense because this is a tough subject. All right. So that's kind of where we have been. Now, something happened between Sunday night and this morning that has now, it's kind of infiltrated a large portion of the culture, and everyone's talking about it, and people have had some very strong reactions to it. In fact, I will argue some of the reactions to it demonstrates they don't even really understand what they saw, what they heard, and they are confused, which is kind of hilarious to me, and you'll understand why before we're done. But it demonstrates, I think, this controversy that has erupted since last night. It's carried on to this morning. In fact, just a couple of hours ago, I've got a news article here saying they went too far. They went too far. And I'm like, wait, they went too far? What are you talking about? But I think it demonstrates what we're going to do. We're going to use this as an illustration. We're going to use what happened, how some people have responded, and we're going to use it kind of as an example and kind of as a lesson of maybe an approach some Christians could have to culture, right? And I know I'm really going to be trying to put this together, and hopefully I can accomplish it. But I'm going to do my best. That's my promise to you. I'm going to do my best, but I need you to do your best. And that means really listening carefully. All right. So something happened Sunday night, Monday night. Everyone's talking. Well, the internet blew up last night after it occurred. And then people have reacted to it. And again, I want to make sure you understand this. I want to use it to try to demonstrate as Christians how we could possibly relate to culture in certain circumstances. All right. I'm going to try to use this situation. I'm trying to make a point beyond the event itself, beyond what actually happened. I'm trying to go deeper than just analyzing what happened. I'm trying to use it for a different purpose. And if you don't get that, you're going to be very confused. All right, so let's set this up. All right, I'm going to take a drink of water. 2 drinks of water. All right, now let me set this up. If you know anything about me, you know I have been watching professional wrestling since my mother took me to the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. And there I watched the Von Erichs battle the Freebirds. I watched all kinds of legends in professional wrestling as they, fought one another, wrestled one another at the Sportatorium in Dallas. Now, if you're not a wrestling fan, you probably don't even know what the Sportatorium in Dallas was. It's kind of sacred ground for wrestling fans. There was something about everything that happened here in Texas. The Von Erichs were almost treated as deity. So that was a situation at a time in wrestling, especially here in Texas, where wrestling kind of, the Von Erichs and everything that was going kind of transcended the wrestling fan world, and it kind of crept into the popular culture of Texas. I mean, people in Texas who didn't even like wrestling knew who the Von Erichs were, because it's one of those situations where something transcended its immediate fan base. Well, if you were alive in the 1990s, once again, wrestling kind of transcended its wrestling fan base. You had people like Stone Cold Steve Austin and the whole Austin 316 thing. You had The Rock. I mean, you had the NWO. You had WWE versus WCW, Monday Night Raw versus Monday Night Nitro. These things kind of exploded and transcended popular culture. So there are times wrestling transcends popular culture. So when that happens, then people who don't watch wrestling, they're at least familiar with it. So I've been watching wrestling when it's transcended popular culture and when it hasn't, when it's kind of just back to its little, just the wrestling fan itself. And it goes through cycles. Sometimes it explodes and everyone's talking about it. And then sometimes it kind of goes back to being this little obscure, form of entertainment that a lot of people don't get and they think it's stupid. So if you happen to be one of those people who thinks it's stupid, it's dumb, you don't get it, that's okay. I'm going to be using this to talk about something far greater than wrestling itself. But I'm going to have to give you a little background to help you understand professional wrestling. If you do not understand it, professional wrestling is storytelling. That's what it is. You have individuals who tell stories. The stories can take place outside of the ring. They can have cameras backstage or in a parking lot or anywhere in someone's house, and that can create the story. You can have, backstage interviews that helps create the story. And then finally, 2 individuals, 4 individuals, depending on the type of match, they get inside a ring, and even inside the ring, they're telling a story. The wrestling match itself is telling a story. And I could sit here and try to analyze how the stories are told, but it's storytelling. And a lot of people, will say it's dumb, it's fake, and yet they go to movies. I mean, I've told the story before. I was in line to see Captain America. I don't know if it was the first one or the second one. I was in line at a movie theater to see Captain America, and I was wearing a wrestling shirt. And someone in line, we've been in line for an hour. Someone sees that I'm wearing a wrestling shirt. They get out of line, they walk up to me, and they look at my shirt, and they say to me, "Don't you know that crap is fake?" Now, they didn't use the word crap, but I think you get the idea. Hey, don't you know that crap is fake? And I look at the individual and I'm like, oh, I didn't know Captain America was a documentary on World War II. They're in line to go see Captain America. Don't you know Captain America is fake? Okay, don't you know the Marvel movies are fake? Okay, don't you know that? There isn't an Iron Man flying around in a suit beating up bad guys. Thor the Hulk isn't running around. I mean, come on, it's fake, right? Okay, so it's always weird how people love movies and TV shows. But then they complain that wrestling is fake. It's a live action movie. There are good guys. There are bad guys. There are people that are in between. There are characters. They're telling a story inside the ring, outside the ring. The match itself is telling a story. You can analyze the story. Maybe in the match, they do, the bad wrestler does something to the good wrestler and hurts their arm. And then the whole story is the good wrestler trying to overcome the hurt arm to somehow beat the bad guy. And in wrestling, many times the bad guy wins. That's one of the reasons I like that form of storytelling. Sometimes you don't know where it's going, but it's just storytelling. So now here, I'm going to draw the parallel. It's a form of entertainment where stories are being told, just like a movie, just like a TV show. Now, how one responds to the story or to the movie says a lot about, 1, how someone understands what is going on, and 2, it says a lot about Christians and how Christians should or shouldn't respond to a story, to something in popular culture. All right, stay with me. This is all going to make sense. So, on Sunday night, the WWE held their annual pay-per-view Money in the Bank. Now, right now, wrestling pay-per-views are very weird because there's no audience because of the COVID-19 situation. And the live audience is very critical to wrestling storytelling because they do a lot of things. They sometimes will shape a match, even change a match based off crowd reaction. They're very much, the audience sometimes becomes very instrumental in the story itself and how the story goes. So it's been really weird watching them try to tell these stories without a live audience. It's been weird, but at this point, I've kind of gotten used to it. All right. So Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I'm excited. Now, for those who don't understand Money in the Bank, let me explain. Money in the Bank pay-per-view, very simple concept. They take a briefcase, they hang it above the ring. A group of individuals then fight to set up a ladder and try to climb that ladder and get the briefcase. Now, what's in the briefcase? Well, once you get the briefcase, you are now guaranteed a title shot for the championship whenever you want, however you want. And this always creates a very unique story. And let me explain how this works. You get the briefcase. Now, let's say you're the wrestler, you get the briefcase. Now, whoever the champion is, that champion still's got to go ahead and they're going to have their matches and they're going to wrestle. Now, you've got that briefcase at any time you want. You can be watching a match backstage and you see that the champion just fought a hard-fought match. They got beat up bad. They're laying there. They're trying to recover. I mean, that match went on for 25 minutes. They look like they look like they can barely stand up. At that moment, you can grab that briefcase, go running out to the ring, hand it to the referee saying, I'm cashing in. Start beating up the champion, jump on top of them, 1, 2, 3, and you become the champion. You can do it anytime you want. You can wait to the most opportune time when the champion is at their absolute weakest, when they're the most vulnerable. Then you can run down and cash in. So this sets up, and you have up to a year to cash in. This sets up a year-long story. Sometimes they'll cash in immediately. Sometimes they wait almost to the very end of the year. And so you'll always, they'll show that person with the briefcase all the time. They're like, here's the person with the briefcase here. And just to remind you, hey, there's someone out there with this briefcase who can cash in on the champion at any time. Now, if the champion is your favorite wrestler or your favorite character in the overall story, you're like, oh no. Oh, no. All right, hurry up and get out of this match. Get out of the ring. Run, because so-and-so's back there with the briefcase. They're just waiting to cash in on you. You know what's going to happen. And so it creates the drama, the suspense, knowing it's going to happen. Sometimes someone will cash in, and for some weird reason, everything goes wrong, and they don't get the championship. Most of the time, they cash in and they get the championship. So that pay-per-view is always big because it sets up basically a story for a year. Now, there is a men's Money in the Bank match for all the men competitors, and there's a women's Money in the Bank match for all the competitors. This year, the whole match was bizarre and crazy because of no audience. They decided to do it almost like a mini movie. So they put the ring on top of a building. They hung the briefcase above the ring on top of the building. And then all the competitors started on the first floor of the building. And they all fought to get all the way to the top of the building, set up a ladder, and get the briefcase. So it was this crazy, like over the top at times. They used a lot of comedy. They used callbacks to previous wrestling. It was just this bizarre. I mean, it's hard to even describe it. You'd have to see it. And the men and the women were both they were both fighting to get to the top of the building at the same time. It was crazy. Okay, but ultimately, the women's Money in the Bank winner was a female wrestler from Japan by the name of Asuka. So she wins the briefcase. All right, now the champion. The women's champion is Becky Lynch. Now, Becky Lynch she changed her persona and she started referring to herself as the man. And the reason she did is she said in other sports, whoever the best athlete is, I'll be like, there's the man. That's the man, the man. And so she said, hey, if the person who's the top of their profession is quote unquote the man, then I, Becky Lynch, even though I'm a woman, I'm going to refer to myself as the man because I'm the best in the industry. So she changed this persona. She became super popular and she's been champion for, I don't know, forever it seems. So now that Asuka has the title or has the Money in the Bank, has the Money in the Bank briefcase, everyone's like, okay, well, at some point she's going to cash in on Becky. She's going to get the title. But she had the briefcase. So the pay-per-view ends with Asuka case. And you're like, okay, wow. All right, this is going to be interesting. All right, so that ends Sunday night. So now Monday night begins. Monday Night Raw begins. Now, Sunday night's the pay-per-view. Monday night is a 3-hour program, comes on every Monday, Monday Night Raw, where all these stories are being developed and all the conflicts are being developed, and typically which leads to the pay-per-view. Okay, and you get the idea. So remember, Asuka won the Money in the Bank briefcase, right? She has it. That's the story. Asuka, the one from Japan, this crazy person from Japan, she has the briefcase. So you were all expecting she's going to cash in at some point on Becky. She's going to get the title. She's going to cash in. It's a matter of when. Is it going to happen Monday? And that's where that's the whole point of that storyline, because now you keep tuning in every week going, okay, is tonight the night she's going to cash in? When is she going to do it? Is she going to do it Monday? Is she going to do it at the next pay-per-view in 4 weeks? When is it going to happen? How's it going to happen? So you're ready to tune in Monday night to see when is it going to happen. Well, Monday Night Raw begins. They do the little callback flashback showing you what happened on Sunday at the pay-per-view. They open with the theme music, and then they show the ring. Boom, cue Becky Lynch's music. Becky Lynch, the champion, is getting ready to come out. she comes out not carrying her title. She comes out carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase. You're like, wait, what? Why does she have the briefcase? Like, how did she get the briefcase? And you're like, wait, did she kill Asuka and just take the briefcase? And she's coming out to saying, nobody's going to cash in on me because I killed the person trying to get, like, what happened? How did she get the briefcase? Because you don't know from Sunday to Monday, there's no explanation. You're just like, wait. So as soon as that happens, you're like, something's going on. So immediately you're like, okay, stop what we're doing. Put down the popcorn. I got to figure out what's happening. And she comes out. She sets the briefcase on top of like a table. She just sits it there. And then she picks up a microphone. And this happens. Listen carefully, because this is going to explain, because this is going to bring about what created all the controversy, all right? But listen, I've got the audio. Now, what you're going to hear Becky Lynch talking, all right? And then, well, I'll kind of walk you through it, all right? So I think you've got the idea. Money in the Bank, Asuka wins the briefcase. She can cash in whenever she wants on Becky Lynch. Monday Night Raw begins. Becky Lynch comes out with the briefcase. Okay, well, what happened? Well, you're going to hear, so listen carefully.
I walked in through these very doors in 2013, and I didn't know anybody in this country, and I didn't know if I was good enough to be here. And I didn't know if anybody would care about a loudmouth Irish woman who loved puns and toast. But somewhere along the line, I learned that they did care, and they cared so much that they put me on their shoulders and they carried me into history, and I will never forget that. Through injury and triumph, it was the fans who stood up for me, who had my back. And it was the fans who I grabbed onto when I didn't have anybody else. And that is why it is the fans, it is you at home that deserve to hear this from me first. That I have to go away for a while.
And I'm okay now. If you're watching this at home and you're a wrestling fan, you're like, wait, she's breaking down, she's crying, and you're like, wait, she's got to go away for a while. And you're thinking, oh no, okay, did she get hurt? Did she have cancer? Like, what is going on? Okay, and why? And she still hasn't answered the obvious question. Why does she have the briefcase that Asuka won? Like, what? If she's going away, why does she have the briefcase? Like, I don't get what's happening, right? So you're watching, she's emotional, you're trying to figure this out, right? Okay. Basic storytelling, right? This is creating mystery. This is creating drama. This is just basic storytelling, all right? Now, let's see where this goes. All right. That's Asuka's music. Asuka's music. And you're thinking, uh-oh, Asuka's going to be coming to the ring and she's going to be wanting her briefcase. Like, why do you have my briefcase? Now, you got to understand, Asuka's from Japan. Her English is not very good, all right? So she's just going to be yelling and screaming and Japanese. She's not happy because obviously Becky has her briefcase. She doesn't care that Becky's in the ring crying. So you got to stay with me because this is all going to make sense. Again, even if you hate wrestling, stay with me. It's all going to make sense, right? So Asuka's coming out. She's running. She's running to the ring. She's not happy, all right? She's upset, all right? Here we go.
You have beaten me when nobody else could. You have been the best wrestler in the world for a long time, and this is why I am so glad that this is happening to you. Because the match last night, it wasn't what you thought it was. It wasn't for an opportunity to win the championship. It was for so much more. And I know you haven't been able to unlock this because there's a combination.
All right, Becky opens the briefcase. All right, she goes, I know you haven't been able to open this. There's a combination. Now, of course, Asuka just wants her briefcase back. She doesn't know what's going on. Becky opens the briefcase, and guess what's inside the briefcase? Becky's title belt, her championship belt, her championship title. I don't like to call it a belt, but her championship title is inside the briefcase. Now, if you're watching, you're like, wait, what is happening? This has never happened ever in the history of this entire concept. The title is inside the briefcase, and she just told Asuka, hey, what happened last night was not just for an opportunity, it was for something more. All right, let's see how this goes.
The match last night was actually for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, I can't fight anymore, but you can. You are the champion.
I'm the champion?
You are the champion.
I'm the champion!
You are the champion.
Yeah! Yeah, I'm the champion! Yeah! Oh, stop! Stop! Yes! Yes! Yeah! Oh, champion! I'm the champion! Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Okay, that's Asuka running around acting. Well, she's crazy. That's her whole character. She's crazy. And all of her broken English. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. She's as happy can be. The camera keeps showing Becky. She's kind of got a little bit she's kind of smiling, but she's still kind of got tears in her eyes because obviously she's no longer the champion. So why did her title get put inside the briefcase? And why did Asuka win the championship by simply winning the briefcase? Like, what? Why didn't Asuka get the briefcase and cash in on Becky? Like, you don't understand where this is going.
Oh, yeah! Champion! Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here! I'm the champion! Yes! I'm the champion! Yeah! I'm the champion!
You are the champion. Now, and as happy as you are to be the champion, I might be a little bit happier. So you go and be a warrior, because I'm going to go be a mother.
And there it was. You go be a warrior. I'm going to go be a mother. Letting the whole world know the reason Becky Lynch's title ended up in the briefcase and why she was there basically saying, I've got to go away a while, is because Becky Lynch is pregnant. Now, here's the weird thing about wrestling storytelling. Wrestling storytelling loves to take reality and mix it with the fake world. And so sometimes you don't know what part of the story is fake and what part of the story is real. But in this particular case, it appears that her being pregnant is real. She's really pregnant. She's really going to have a child. And so she's got to leave, putting basically her career possibly on hold. Maybe it's done forever, because if you don't know anything about wrestling, they're basically on the road, 250 plus days out of the year, going from town to town to town, wrestling. And that's hard to be a mother, and you're basically gone from your child forever. So that could be the end of her career. So that explains why she was so emotional. That explains everything. All right. So she just announced, you go be a warrior. I'm going to go be a mother. She's leaving. She's no longer the champion. And you're like, wow, what a segment. So immediately everyone, the social media blew up. Everyone was talking about it. It was even being announced by news outlets. Becky Lynch announces that she's pregnant, her career put on hold, and immediately everyone started talking about it. Well, they waited to about, I don't remember if it was an hour, 2 hours into the show. It was at some length. And one of the other wrestlers by the name of Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler used to be in the UFC. She's friends with Ronda Rousey. And her character is, she hates everyone, and she hates Becky Lynch. She hates Becky Lynch. They've been in a feud against one another, and we could talk about all the story, but she does not like Becky Lynch, all right? So Becky and this kind of idea, Becky is the good guy, the good character, all right? As good as, in wrestling you can be. And Shayna is clearly the bad character. She's the evil one, all right? She's evil. Now, a lot of times in professional wrestling, what they do is they'll take a character and have them backstage and then say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, Becky just announced she's leaving. Becky announced that she's pregnant. And so Shayna is backstage and quote unquote, you have the backstage reporter saying, hey, Shayna, what do you think about Becky's announcement? Right? And this is what sparked all the controversies. 56 seconds long. And Shayna unleashes what we call in wrestling lingo a brutal promo. I mean, she is going to tell what she thinks about the entire situation. All right? Listen carefully.
Shayna, excuse me. I wanted to get your reaction to the news about Becky's pregnancy.
Reaction. How stupid do you have to be to get knocked up when you're the champion? Here's a fact. 10 out of 10 mothers will try to convince you that pregnancy didn't ruin their careers. You're trying to tell me Becky Lynch becomes the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion and throws that all away just to house some miserable parasite? Imagine the man, barefoot, fat, on the couch eating bonbons. Yeah, that kid's gonna suck. You know who the father is? I rest my case.
"59 seconds. 59 seconds. And boom! Everyone loses their mind. She refers to the child as a parasite. She refers to Becky's pregnancy as, how stupid does she have to be to get knocked up? She uses these words. The kid's going to be stupid. Don't you know who the father is? Well, the father is one of the main wrestlers in the WWE. His name is Seth Rollins. Him and Becky have been married. And so, she's even attacking him. But she refers to the child as a parasite. She refers to her getting knocked up. She refers to, hey, her career's going to be destroyed, as if the child is this is the worst thing that could be happening. A completely disregard for the life of the child, for the even the person of the child. She refers to the child as a parasite. As a parasite. Now, everyone lost it. In fact, just a couple of hours ago, have a news article here. Here's the news article. Shayna Baszler goes too far. Shayna Baszler goes too far. And they literally have here parasite, an organism that lives in or on an organism of another species and benefits by deriving nutrients at the other's expense. So an organism that lives in or on an organism of another species and benefits by deriving nutrients and benefits by deriving nutrients at the other's expense. Now, they go and they talk about how this went too far and that, this, and then you got the comments like, this is horrible. This is deplorable. This is wrong. And everyone's like losing it. And you want to stop everyone and go, wait, slow down. This is story. The pregnancy is real, but Shayna is speaking in character. She's the evil heel, using wrestling lingo. She's saying all these horrible things to make everyone hate her, to make everyone despise her. Well, obviously she can't fight Becky, right? Obviously she can't fight Becky. But now who's the champion? Asuka. So guess what? Now when Shayna goes after Asuka, everyone's going to be like, Boo, Shayna, you said horrible things about Becky's pregnancy. You deserve to die. And everyone's going to yell and scream things at Shayna. So this is just storytelling. But everyone loses it and goes crazy, which she did her job, right? She gets the reaction. It's all over social media. She was trending on Twitter last night. I don't know if she still is, but she was trending. And this video now has been shared everywhere about what Shayna said. All right, now, there you have it. There's the wrestling storyline. Even if you don't care, you get the idea. Asuka wins the Money in the Bank. Monday night, Becky comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Why does she have it? Well, she's got to go away. Why does she got to go away? We don't know. Ultimately, Asuka comes out going, hey, I want my briefcase. Here, look what was inside the briefcase. My title. You won my title. You are now the champion. I'm the champion. Yay, I'm the champion. And then Becky says, I know you're happy, but I may even be happier. Why? Well, you go and be a warrior. I'm going to go be a mother. Wait, you're pregnant? You're pregnant. And then I didn't play that part. Asuka goes crazy that, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, congratulations. And she's all happy for her. And then Becky walks away. And that's the end. When she gets to the top of the ramp where she's about to walk away, she looks at the camera and she goes, I'm going to miss you guys. Right. And it's sad because, her career possibly is over. But at the same time, you should be happy because she's going to be a mother and she's going to have a baby. Then here comes the evil Hill backstage. Hey, everyone else is celebrating. Everyone else is happy for Becky. Hey, Shayna, what do you think about it? What do I think about it? How stupid do you have to be to get knocked up when you're the champion? Hey, 10 out of 10 mothers will tell you that having a baby, doesn't ruin their careers. But I mean, come on, we all know it does. And hey, that baby's going to be stupid. Don't you know who the father is? I mean, she did all that. So she's going to lose her championship for a parasite? For a parasite? That's what she's going to do? And you're sitting there going, whoa, Shayna, you can't say those kinds of things. That is wrong. Now, here we go. Let me expand this a little bit and now try to connect this to where I want to go. There's just the wrestling storyline. You got it? Wrestling storyline. What you may think it's dumb. You may think the acting's horrible. You may think the storyline is poorly written. That's a whole different argument for a whole different day, okay? You can think whatever you want, but now let's stop. Here's what I want you to see. For some Christians, they would perceive that promo as being horrible. It does not promote the sanctity of human life, that it treats a baby as if it's a parasite, that it's not a blessing from God, that this is horrible, and that as Christians, we believe we're pro-life. We believe in the sanctity of human life. There's no way to speak of a child that way. This is ungodly. This is horrible, and this is wrong. That's how some Christians would approach it. And say, that's horrible, and that's wrong. And therefore, I cannot watch that, and I should not watch that. Now, others will say, well, she didn't use any obscenity. Now, if Shayna would have dropped some cuss words, right? If she would have dropped an F-bomb, or she would have dropped this, or then you can't watch. Then you can't. So, you can say all kinds of horrible things as long as you don't use an obscenity, which is always weird. You have characters doing all kinds of horrible things, and that's okay. But once they drop the bad word, then, I can't watch. Wait, there's been murder, there's been adultery, and all of that was okay. But the cuss word is what, sometimes that's the way Christians approach a culture and approach entertainment. But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to use this as an illustration. Shayna is speaking in character. She's a character, right? That's not her whole, it could be her real feelings, but that's irrelevant what her real feelings are. Shayna Baszler, the character, the bad, evil Shayna Baszler, who's already, attacked Becky Lynch and bit the back of her neck until she was bleeding. This crazy woman, Shayna, she said this in character. So you, as a person watching entertainment, it's not that you're supposed to take that and go, this is how I'm supposed to feel. No, that's how the character feels about the situation. Now, of course, in this case, you're supposed to go, whoa, boo, I don't like that character. I want that character to be defeated. I don't like their ideas. I don't like their ideology. That's the way you can respond to it by going, that's the character. This is what's happening in the story. I I don't have to go along with it. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to say this is wonderful. I can reject it. It's not telling me to go along with it. Now, to be fair, sometimes in a story, you may have a character who is promoting that idea, and the ultimate end of a movie or the ultimate end of a TV show is maybe to promote the idea that a child is not a blessing, it's a curse, that a child inside the womb is not a life, it's simply a parasite, and maybe they go all the way and promote that idea. Now, clearly, the WWE was not trying to promote that a child is a parasite and that a child is not a good thing. No, the bad heel character, the evil character, was saying those words. And for an article to come out saying she went too far, what do you mean she went too far? What do you mean? She's the bad character. Well, what are you talking? Do you not get it? It's called kayfabe in wrestling. That's kayfabe. That's fictional character. Sometimes people can't understand they don't know what's real in wrestling and what's not real. They get all confused. I still to this day don't understand. No one reacts to movies the way people react to wrestling. I'll never get it. All right. So it's the character. That's all that it is. So, but this is a great example of, as Christians, how should we respond or react to culture? So let me throw this concept out there. When it comes to entertainment as a Christian, as a Christian in entertainment, whether it's a movie, whether it's TV show, whether it's professional wrestling, whether it's a song, whatever it may be, the story, the movie, whatever, we watch it as someone listening to what maybe the songwriter is trying to get across. We're watching what the director, the writers want to get across in the movie. We're watching what the writers and the directors want us to see in a TV show. Or if you don't know, in professional wrestling, there are writers, right? There are teams of writers who write the script, who write everything just like they do in movies. They write the script. We're watching the story they want us to see. Now, you can react to that story by going, wait, that was horrible. I disagree with it. Some Christians will say, if it says anything horrible, does anything horrible, then it's ungodly and it's worldly and we shouldn't watch it. We should only watch stories that do anything, but that only thing they do is promote positive things. Well, you know, in storytelling, that doesn't work, right? In storytelling, you're going to have the good and the bad. You're going to have the contrast, right? You got to have someone with the good idea fighting someone with a bad idea. So sometimes Christians seem to go, wait a minute, wait. They said that bad. I can't watch it because that's ungodly. Why can't you just look at the story and just view the story and then judge the story, analyze the story, and determine what in the story you can take from it or what in the story that your Christian worldview condemns? Why do you feel like you have to say, wait, if I watch that story, then next thing you know, if I'm not careful watching that story, I'm going to walk around thinking a child is a parasite? No, you don't have to. You take the story and you analyze it, and you can analyze parts of the story from your biblical perspective. My biblical perspective says, no, a child is not a parasite. It's a living thing. It's created in the image of God. There is sanctity. There is value in that human life. I am not going to go along with that idea. Even if the storyline was to try to convince you of that idea, you could then go, I completely disagree with that story. I completely agree with their philosophy. Why can't you watch it? Right. And I'm trying to present a different view of Christians and culture. Why can't you watch it and then say, hey, I completely disagree with where that story went. I completely disagree with their message. I completely disagree with it. Now, what some Christians say is I can't do that because it will influence me. It will influence me. Well, yeah, if you're watching a show and let's say the bad guy kills 3 people and you feel like that tomorrow you're going to go kill 3 people, yeah, you probably should cut off all forms of entertainment and you probably should just stop reading books, TV, everything. You may want to get some help if you feel that just watching a show where someone does something bad, you're going to do something bad. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. But now you have to acknowledge how it's influencing you. If you hear someone in a movie say a bad word and the next thing you know, the next day you're saying the bad words because you can't stop yourself, because if you hear someone say a bad word in a movie, you're going to say the bad word. Well, now you're letting corrupt communication come out of your mouth. Right. Well, then you probably shouldn't watch it. Right. Now, for Christian men, we definitely know that the Bible condemns lust. So, yeah, if we watch something that creates lust in us, well, we shouldn't watch it, because now we are committing a sin because we are lusting. That is definitely a negative, and we cannot. So you have to ask yourself, and make sure this is very clear. It may have nothing to do with having a sex scene in the movie. If you're a man and there's an actress and there's something about her that you just end up having thoughts you shouldn't have, even if there's no quote unquote bad scenes, you've got to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I can't control that. Yeah, if it's causing you a problem, then you have to acknowledge it. But sometimes Christians just have the mentality, no, and it's just weird. Like, they draw the line in all kinds of different places. Like I said, you can have a movie where there's killing. You can have a movie where there's all kinds of crazy things going on in the story. But once a bad word is uttered, then we're like, no, can't. That's it. Too far. They said a bad word. And you're like, wait a minute. That movie had a million other problems, right? Like, you can have a Disney movie where there is literally no cussing, but the whole message of the movie is follow your heart, believe in yourself, which is contrary to a biblical Christian worldview. But hey, it didn't have any bad words, didn't have any sex scenes, and it's got a rating that I agree with. That Christians have to learn to analyze art a little differently. We have to think about it. So I think that this is just a good example. Here's a character who says something outrageous, says something offensive. Everyone loses it. Everyone goes crazy about it. Wait, I can't believe she said that. And you're like, that's just a character. You don't have to go along with that idea. The whole purpose is to make you not like her. The whole purpose is for you to go, boo, Shayna. Now, in wrestling world, sadly, the way it works is when someone does something like this, when one of the bad characters really goes full-blown bad, typically in wrestling, everyone then turns for the bad person. Wrestling is weird where the fans tend to want to go for the bad person and boo the good person. This happens a lot in wrestling. You know, oh, here's this person. He's so good. He tells you to never give up. He tells you, to work hard, to be loyal, to have respect. He tells you to, care about other people. He does all these wonderful things for children, for Make-the-Wish Foundation. He's this wonderful character. He's a great role model. You want your kids to look up to him. And what do wrestling fans do? Boo! You stink! We want you to lose! Okay, and that's what happens, okay? And then the bad person, like, yeah, that's that. And you could talk about the psychology of that, why that happens. I think for many cases, wrestling fans just like the fact that wrestling doesn't have to follow the rules of normal storytelling. If you go to a movie, 99.9% of the time, as soon as the movie starts, I know how this is going to play out. The good guy's going to win. The good guy's not going to die. The good guy, or if you see a character that everything seems to be going all bad in their life, by the end of the movie there's going to be a redemption story, and voila, everything's going to go great. It doesn't always work that way in wrestling, and I think wrestling fans like to circumvent normal storytelling and try to force them to make the bad guy the star and destroy the good guy. That's just a part of wrestling. The fans can really dictate a story. They can really overcome. They can even overcome what the writers want and force them to possibly go in a different direction that the writers didn't even want to go. That happens a lot in professional wrestling. It's always crazy when it occurs. So now Shayna, you watch, her popularity is going to increase 100-fold, not because everyone necessarily agrees with what she said. It's because they like the fact that, ooh, look how bad she is. About time. I want her to beat up all the good people, because they want the story to go differently. But that's because they know it's a story, though. They know it's a story. They know it's not real. Okay, they know it's fictitious. They know it's a story. All right. Sometimes that happens even in the movie world. Look at Friday the 13th series of movies, okay? I mean, violent. You got this crazy, basically mass murdering Jason running around killing everyone. His story is, sad and how he comes about. But okay, you watch it. Well, what started happening within in popular culture is like people were rooting for Jason. And Nightmare on Elm Street, they were almost rooting for Freddy Krueger, this murderer. Like sometimes that happens even in movies where the people kind of like, we're going for the bad guy. Come on, kill some more people. Now, and the reason they're saying that, hopefully, unless they've got mental problems, is not because they really want a killer to go around killing real human beings. It's because it's going against the norms of storytelling. It's circumventing the expectation. And so the bad guy kind of becomes a cult figure, and everybody's like, yeah. Now, you could argue that sometimes art reflects maybe a change in the worldview of people in culture where they no longer value human life. But I think sometimes we want to infer more evil ideas to what can just be people perceiving something to be nothing more than entertainment, and they see it as entertainment, and because it's entertainment and it's not real, then you can circumvent societal norms or moral norms. You can go for it. A good example, when I was watching the Black Knight, the Dark Knight trilogy, not the Black Knight, the Dark Knight trilogy with Batman, Christopher Nolan's Batman. It was the second one where, Batman is going against the Joker. And the whole purpose of that movie is to deal with morality. Is morality relative, right? It's dealing with relativism. It's a major, it's an epic story of morality and you got one trying to argue that morality is not fixed. Batman is in many cases, his morality is questionable because sometimes he seems to go beyond what is moral and what is right to supposedly defeat evil. So if you become the evil to defeat the evil, then are you not promoting evil? Like lots of major moral and ethical issues and philosophical issues are in the Dark Knight trilogy, especially the second movie. The second movie is just really powerful in these images. Well, it gets to close to the end of that movie, and you have this powerful scene where the Joker has basically put bombs on two different boats. And basically what he's saying, hey, there's the clock. Now, on one boat, he gives them a button and says, if you push this button, you're going to blow up the other boat and kill all the people on board. If you don't do it by the time this clock gets to a certain time, then I'm going to blow up your boat and kill you. So now both people on each boat have a motivation, and that motivation is push the button and kill all the other people so that we can live. And if you don't, we're going to die. So who cares about morality? Save your life, kill the other people. Well, ultimately, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I saw the Dark Knight trilogy, but if I remember correctly, no one pushes the button. No one pushes the button, and Batman ultimately saves the day. Well, to me, when I watched the movie, that's the only disappointing part because I believe personally that someone would have pushed the button. Someone would have pushed the button and killed everyone else to save themselves. I think that's a greater picture of human depravity, and that people would forego morality to save themselves. In fact, that was part of the message of the movie, is that's what Joker was trying to demonstrate. However, in that movie, they wanted to argue that wasn't the case, that somehow in man there's enough goodness that even when everything goes against them, that they will still choose the moral choice, which I have a problem with that. So it's not that I was cheering for these people to kill one another in real life. I wasn't, because obviously no one was really going to die. But a part of me wanted someone to die to really drive the message home in the movie. And that message is, come on, people will give up their morality in a second when push comes to shove. They will violate their own moral standard. We will all violate our moral standards given the right set of circumstances and the right situation, because our hearts are desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. So I kind of wanted that. Now, I wasn't cheering for that because I wanted real people to die. Right? I wanted that because I felt that it would have made the story more powerful and would have demonstrated a reality to what the bad guy was saying. In other words, the bad guy's message had truth to it, even though he was going about trying to prove it in an evil way, and he needed to be stopped. but I still think they should have demonstrated maybe the truthfulness of his particular viewpoint, right? So, but again, that's analyzing the movie. That's not, I didn't walk out of that movie going, you know what I need to do? I need to go kill some people. I need to go kill some people to prove that human depravity exists. I didn't come out of that thinking that way. I didn't come out that way. Now, here's the danger. A lot of times people talk, well, what about young people? Well, young people have to be trained in how to analyze narrative, how to analyze a story and make right decisions. So I just wanted to use this whole story, the storyline, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Shayna Baszler. Becky's pregnant. Shayna says horrible things. And I just wanted you to take this concept as a Christian. And I'm going to place it before you. I am not, make this very clear. I'm not arguing for a position here. I'm trying to give you a perspective. So let me end it this way. All right. I told you it was going to be kind of a unique and a different episode. Hopefully I've pulled this off. Hopefully I've given you something to think about. But if you walk away saying that I'm making a dogmatic statement, you're misinterpreting this episode. So let's kind of work through this. Okay. We're going to bring up a couple of Christian ideas here, and I'm going to place them before you, and then you can write out your own answers. Are you ready? Let's end this in a very practical way. I want to make this very beneficial, right? Because the whole idea is to make theology central. All right. So let's work through this. Are you ready? Here we go. You may want to get a piece of paper and write these things down, because this is for you to answer for yourself, right? This is for you to struggle with. This is for you to talk about it with your Sunday school class, with your small group, with your family. Talk about it. Here we go. Are you ready? Number one, we talked about wrestling. So here's the question a Christian has to ask. Should or shouldn't I watch wrestling? Well, the first consideration we're going to ask is time. Time. No matter the form of entertainment that you choose as a believer, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? Because as a Christian, we know we're supposed to love God above everything else. We're supposed to be meditating on God's word day and night. God's word is supposed to be our treasure, it's supposed to be our food. We're supposed to be trying to live a life glorifying God and enjoy him forever. We're supposed to be being equipped for ministry. We're supposed to be praying for people. Hopefully, we're supposed to be trying to disciple people. Hopefully, we're trying to witness to people. Our life is supposed to be dedicated to the service of God. So when it comes to any form of entertainment, professional wrestling, movies, books, video games, you name it, the first issue that you always have to ask yourself is the issue of time. How much time should I dedicate to this particular form of entertainment? Even before you get to the morality of it, time. Now, here's the problem. Christians have, this is the way Christians do. We love to do this. Our kid could be sitting in the room playing video games for 5-6 hours, and a parent will be like, those video games are becoming an idol in your life. You're spending all your time, it's becoming your God, and you're just filling your mind with that worthless garbage. It's just stupid, it's dumb, it's a waste of time, it's pathetic. I don't know what your issue is. So the parent will yell and condemn that. Well, the parent then turns around and then does, you name it, reading novels, watching TV, spending countless hours, maybe wanting to go outside and go camping or go hunting or watching sports. You just name it. The parent has the thing that they do. Now, what we have a tendency to do, other people are ungodly because they waste their time on frivolous, vain pursuits. But when we engage in said activity, hey, we're godly. Our pursuits are always noble and godly, where everyone else's pursuit is always ungodly. So time has to become an issue. How much time? What do you do? And I've struggled with this my whole Christian life. There are times I just want to throw everything out, just turn everything off, and all I'm going to do all day is listen to hymns and read my Bible, and that's it. Pray, eat, talk with my family, and that's it. I'm not going to engage in any form of entertainment. But then other parts of me going, but entertainment, I can't just do that all day, every day. I mean, could I? Couldn't I? I mean, do I live my life even though I'm not in a monastery like I'm in a monastery? Like, what is the way I should live? And I struggle with this. And sometimes I don't have a good answer. Now, my solution is not everyone else's solution. My solution is this. Look, I'm going to try to do everything I can to ensure God is first in my life. But there's other things I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I will sacrifice sleep. I will sacrifice sleep. Sleep doesn't matter to me. If I need to go 72 hours without sleep, I will. But guess what? In those 72 hours, I'm going to make sure I'm reading my Bible, studying my Bible. I may be listening to sermons. I may read some theology. I may read some church history. I'm going to make sure God is first. And then I still have time to listen to music or to watch wrestling. All right. So I've tried to argue that I have more time by sacrificing sleep. Therefore, I can keep God in the right place. Now, if I'm going to get sleep, then I have to obviously reduce my time with other things. Time is the issue. Where is your passion? Where do you spend your time? Redeeming the time, for the days are evil. Redeem the time. Do not waste the time. Seek first the kingdom of God. Set your mind on things above. Love not the things in the world. Well, we measure love. We measure seeking first. We measure that in some level. At some level, we measure that by quantity. How much time are we spending? Time is an issue. Before we even get to the morality of it, we have to deal with the time factor. And a lot of Christians don't like to hear that because they've got the things they want to do and they're going to do the things they want to do. So what they do is they come up with some way of saying what the things I do are moral and the things you do are immoral. I'll give you an example. My independent fundamental Baptist church, the first Bible Institute I went to. I've said it before. You could not listen to contemporary Christian music. You could not. You could not be listening to DC Talk, Petra, or any of the people who were popular back then. You could, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Michael Card, you name, people that weren't even really that contemporary. You still couldn't listen to them because it was worldly music. It was ungodly. You could not do that. And so if I was home on a Saturday and I wanted to put headphones on and listen to Christian music for 12 hours, I was ungodly. I was worldly. I was unspiritual, but guess what I could have done? I could have turned off the music, turned on the TV, and watched college football from basically 11 a.m. to about 11 p.m., watch college football all day, and guess what? I would have been okay and godly. And I was told because sports teaches, this is what I was told, sports teach life lessons. Sports teach, teamwork. Sports teach effort. Sports teach playing through the pain. And so what I was told is that, hey, the Apostle Paul even used sports analogies. So because the Apostle Paul kind of made references to beating your body and not fighting against the air, he made running the race because he kind of made some allusions to sports. Therefore, sports are godly. And you're like, what? Wait. So I can't learn any spiritual lessons from sports. I can. You see, so this is what we have a tendency to do. When we like something, it becomes moral and godly and a good use of our time. And when other people are engaged in it, it's wasteful, it's vain, it's ungodly, and it's stupid. That's the way it works. So time becomes the issue. Second thing I think we should ask ourselves. And I'm going to ask this as a question. Is it possible to be watching something that contains immoral ideas, unbiblical ideas, may even contain profanity, contain obviously killing, may contain all kinds of crazy things in it? Is it possible to watch it, to maybe be entertained by the story, the acting, the drama, the mystery, the suspense, to be entertained by it, and then walk away not influenced by it because you took every thought captivity, you analyzed it, and you set aside and you realized what was biblical and what was not biblical. You were entertained by it, but you're not walking away influenced by it. In other words, you don't walk away doing those things. You don't walk away saying those words. You don't walk away. Is it possible to do that and not be sinning? Like I'm watching a movie. And sometimes I think sometimes people get hung up on just a cuss word. Look, if the movie has murder, lying, deceit, and all kinds of other, it's like sometimes cuss words. That's the biblical model. Well, the biblical model would be talking about all of the other actions the characters are doing, not just the words they're saying. But okay. But is it possible to watch something that has all of that and just say, hey, that's part of the story. I don't agree with that character. I think the ultimate message of the movie wasn't biblical. I think the ultimate message, and that can happen even in a Disney movie where there is no sex, violence, or language, but the message of the movie is still antithetical to the Christian worldview. Sometimes that's the more dangerous movie than the movie that's just hitting you in the face going, clearly, this is not Christian, okay? Sometimes it's the one that you think is so wonderful, and you're like, that's really not a Christian movie. Is it possible to watch it, be entertained by it, to be entertained by it, right? Not engage in it, and you're not sinning. Now, others will say, wait a minute, you're being entertained by the very sins that Jesus died for. Whoa, that's powerful, but wait a minute. So that would mean every form of entertainment is going to have things in it that are sins. I mean, like even if you try to write a Christian book, you're going to have probably people in the book doing things that are sinful, right? So if I'm being entertained by the story where, ooh, look, these people did this and these people did this, am I not being entertained by sinful things? Am I not being entertained by the sins that Jesus died for? Or are you just saying that every form of storytelling should just have every person and every character only doing good things, only saying good words? You have to ask yourself that question. Is it possible to watch it, view it, analyze it, not participate in it? Now, clearly we know participating in it, thinking that way, saying those words and doing those actions, we would all agree that that is wrong, right? I can read the story of David's horrible sin, right? But I don't walk away saying that story is telling me to commit that. Now, maybe if I was watching a story that was telling me to commit adultery and kill the woman's, husband and cover up my sin, and it was telling me that's a good thing. Now, you may go, man, that message was messed up. But could you watch it, be entertained by the story, and walk away going, man, that story is just, that is absolutely an abhorrent message for a movie. Now, if you watch it and analyze it and condemn the message, then ultimately, didn't it not just benefit you in that way that you were to analyze it? I don't know. Like, can you watch it, entertained by it, but not be guilty of it? In other words, if I'm watching people do something in a movie that's wrong, am I guilty of their action? If I watch someone in a movie say a bad word, do I become guilty of said bad word because I watched it and heard it? Again, that's a question. So time, and then can you watch and not be guilty of? All right. Time, and can you watch and not be guilty of? All right. And then number 3. And we've talked about this in our other message, but I'll just bring this up. At what level? What is the level of what is the level of participation in the world? Now, I know we're supposed to be in it, but not of it, but we all participate in it some way, shape, or form. If you're watching movies, if you're reading books, if you're playing it, you're participating in it. At what level of participation of the things in the world can you engage in and then not be guilty of being worldly? What is that level? Is there a level of participation? You're watching a movie, you're entertained by it, right? Okay, well, if you watch one movie, are you worldly? If you watch no movies, are you not worldly? Like, is there a level of participation you can, and is there a level that you can cross and you're like, I think worldliness, I'm going to just throw out an idea. I think worldliness is not me participating and watching it. Worldliness is when I start thinking that way, doing those things. That's when I become worldly. Worldly is not that I'm watching it, seeing it, analyzing it, being entertained by it. Worldliness is when I start thinking that way. But again, is there a certain level? I mean, what do you do? If you watch a stand-up comedian, right? You just name a famous stand-up comedian who drops every known obscenity under the sun. His jokes are absolutely just filthy, explicit, horrible stuff. Now, like, what can you do? Like, can you watch that and laugh and it not be a sin or not be a word? Like, I think everyone's going to have all kinds of issues trying to figure these things out. So we got time, watching. Can you watch and not be guilty of? And what's that level of participation you can actually engage in? Like, is there a time limit? Is there an amount? Is there, is worldliness simply watching it, or is worldliness something else? And again, I know it becomes very difficult because, like, if some Christians, like, sometimes even in the world, if you watch, now I don't know about so much in 2020, but there was a time that if you watched a certain thing and lost people found out that you watched it as a Christian, they'd be like, oh, wait, you watched that? I didn't think Christians did that. Now, that becomes about an issue of being a stumbling block. And you're clearly told in Scripture, do not become a stumbling block to anyone. Don't become a stumbling block. So in that case, you don't flaunt that liberty. If you believe you have the liberty to do so, you don't walk around posting on your social media everything that you watched and everything you did because you could cause someone else to stumble. You don't do that. You just keep that to yourself. You don't go broadcast that, right? You don't want to cause people to stumble. That's a whole different issue, right? So I'll stop right there. There's a lot more I could probably say, but we've gone. Well, we're an hour and 9 minutes, so I have to stop. All right, I'll stop right there. Email me your thoughts, newsif@yahoo.com, 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 newsif@yahoo.com. If you hear someone say, did you hear what that woman said about that female wrestler who got pregnant? I can't believe what she said. Let them understand that it's a story, okay? That it's a story. And that you don't have to agree with that character, okay? Just like in all the other shows that come on television, right? Okay. So, all right, there we have it. A lot there. Just to the only reason I wanted to do this is I thought it would be a little twist on our discussion about Christians and culture. I thought this would be a little twist, add a different perspective, give you a real life scenario, a real life situation, and just explain how some people perceive that like that's just ungodly. That's just wrong. I can't believe she would say anything like that. And you're like, okay, well then if that's ungodly to watch, then what do you watch? And then you go watch what they watch. I'm like, well, wait a minute. In that show, so-and-so did that. Is that not right? So again, for some, they won't have a problem with what Shayna said, but if she would have dropped a couple of obscenities, then they would have. So it's the obscenity that would have crossed the line. Like if she would have dropped the F-bomb, boom, it's wrong. If she says that, hey, Becky's child is a parasite and says all those things, then that's not wrong. Like that, sometimes it's really weird how Christians try to figure this out. But let me say this. I'm not condemning anyone else's perspective. I'm not condemning anyone else's view. We are all in this together as Christians trying to figure out how we live in this culture. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all struggling. We have success. We have failure. We make good choices. We make bad choices. We make choices that some people agree with. We make choices that other people condemn. Sometimes you'll be labeled as being worldly and ungodly, and other people will believe that they're not. Then you'll be labeling some people worldly and ungodly, and they will perceive themselves not to be. This is a situation that Christians have been trying to figure out for 2,000 years. And remember, for a long time in church history, what everyone thought the solution was to sell everything, get rid of everything, and go live your life in a monastery. Well, most Christians don't believe that's the way to live anymore. Okay, well now, since we're not going to run to the monastery, then we have to figure out how we navigate the culture without being worldly, without committing the sin of loving the world. How to truly demonstrate that we're seeking first the kingdom of God, that we're loving God's word, that we love God above everything else. We have to demonstrate that while we're navigating living in the world and in many cases participating in certain segments of it. All right. I mean, millions of Christians every year for the Super Bowl are right there with the rest of the world watching the Super Bowl, watching the commercials, talking about it. Now, that's going to lead to a whole different discussion. We could talk about the Super Bowl halftime show and how everyone went crazy over that and then wanted to condemn it. And, well, I mean, you didn't know when you looked at J-Lo and Shakira were going to be the halftime entertainment, you didn't know what was coming? Really? You were that naive? Right? What were you thinking was going to happen? Okay. Like, sometimes you're confused by how people react to certain things. So, but there you have it. Like, hey, canceling church. Like, this is the way some Christians canceling church for the Super Bowl. Hey, that's okay. Watch the football game, watch the commercials, have a great time. Oh, wait, the halftime show. Ungodly, condemn it. And you're like, wait, you canceled church for the Super Bowl. You skipped church for the Super Bowl, and you're upset about the halftime show. Okay, what? So, but again, it's just weird how Christians can think on these subjects. All right. Well, I'll stop. Hey, if you found this to be interesting, let me know, because I know I took a little risk doing it this way, because I know a lot of people will hate what I did or think it was dumb, but I tried to do something different. So, yeah, again, if you don't try, you can't accomplish anything. All right, I'll stop there. newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. Everyone have a great day. God bless.